Welcome to The Confidence Conversation, hosted by Michelle Beatty. The Confidence Conversation is a series of rich dialogues and insights shared by a variety of professionals in different industries as they unpack their secrets to being confident while sharing the building blocks, career wisdom, and their entrepreneurial journeys. The Confidence Conversation is an expansion of the blog CareerTipper.com.
Welcome back to The Confidence Conversation. I'm your host, Michelle Beatty, creator of CareerTipper.com. Episode 16 of The Confidence Conversation features singer-songwriter Antonia Jenae. Antonia first made her mark as a background singer for Joss Stone in 2003. She has shared the stage providing backup vocals for Common, Choklate, Raphael Saadiq, Macy and Beck. Not one to fade into the background, she is fueled by her ability to capture listeners with her charm and soulful voice. It is rare that a singer can simultaneously spark moments of infectious flow throughout an audience while feeding them with wisdom and touching their soul. Antonia wrote, recorded, and released her debut for Medicinal Purposes. She is now preparing for the release of her second full-length project called Diva Smoke, a collection of her poetry turned into melody that shows off some of her production skills. Antonia is going to share how continually affirming her success and being willing to try something new has led her to experience career successes beyond her wildest dreams. Antonia, welcome to the Confidence Conversation.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Antonia, I'm excited to chat with you today. When did you decide that you were going to position yourself to become a professional singer?
Well, it was right after I got fired from Clear Channel. I used to work for Clear Channel Radio, selling radio airtime. I hated that job passionately.
Oh, no.
And they fired me one day before my year, like before you get all your big benefits and things. So it was at that point I was like, you know what? I said I want to be a singer. This is my opportunity. The cheese has moved, and I need to now pursue this. And so what's funny is I found out about this book called The Prayer of Jabez, and I had been reading that book and was just like, I want to be a singer. I want to be a singer. I want to be a singer. So putting that into principle, I was at an Erykah Badu concert, and Betty Wright, who's a singer, soul singer from South Florida, who lived in Miami, from Miami, came out on the stage playing acoustic guitar. And I said to myself, how am I going to call myself a singer if I have not met and worked with Betty Wright, who's right here in my area? And I knew her niece and nephew, but I just never could get close enough. And I said to myself, I'm going to work with Betty Wright that day. And I said the prayer of Jabez in the middle of the club, in the middle of the concert. I was in my own little space. And what's funny is 3 months to the day that I said that prayer, I got a phone call that Betty Wright is having auditions for some girl named Joss Stone for some backing thing or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know who Joss is, but I'm going to work with Betty Wright. So, and that's how that happened.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. So what was the shifting moment that you knew you were going to be a professional singer?
I think the reaction of people's, their reaction to my songs. Because I'm an advocate for writing your own music and saying your story or telling people how you feel and putting that into music. So when I see other people's reaction to what was a personal thing for me, I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. This can happen. I'm pretty good, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was just, it was a lot of inner turmoil, inner conversation with myself. Like, I don't know if I'm good enough. But then when people's reaction to what I was doing was okay, then I accepted it, I guess. Isn't that weird that we have to get other people's approval for what we want to do? Yeah,
that's a component of what some people call the imposter syndrome in the workplace. But your workplace can be whatever you do. Mm-hmm. But that is a component of the imposter syndrome where it makes you have self-doubt. Mm-hmm. But you just rise above it and just, shake it off like that does not apply to me.
Right, exactly. I don't know what you're trying to do, but this is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. And I love it to see women and men too, just professionals, just shake it off and say, you know what, that's just self-doubt. And they recognize it just like you recognize it. And you're like, this is not going to get in the way of what I know my destiny is. Mm-hmm. That's so cool. Okay, so Antonia, please share the source of your motivation to remain consistently focused on being a sought-after singer.
The source of my motivation, I guess, would be, I don't know. I guess my children. I have 2 boys, 10 and 7, and I want to show them that you can do anything that you put your mind to, because that's how I was taught. My dad did teach me that. And then, we would go over these self-help things when I was growing up, and I didn't understand it at that time at 16. Like, I don't want to watch this Zig Ziglar, whomever. I don't know who these people are. But then when I got of age where I was ready to understand it, I was like, oh, okay, I get this now. And I can do anything I put my mind to. The words I say that come out of my mouth are important. And me writing the lyrics that either are part of my life or observation of someone else's life is kind of my inspiration. Because you could be talking to me and you don't even know. You say a phrase and I'm like, oh, can you hold on a second? And then I open up my phone and I start typing and I'm writing a song. Even if it's just a phrase, I'll go back to it later and something will come out.
And listening to your music, you treat this story with delicacy.
Yeah, because, we're all sensitive, and I feel we're all connected to one another in some type of way. There is definitely that 6 degrees of separation kind of thing happening, and I think it's important to be true to who you are and to be true to what the situation is, because somebody else is going through that same thing. You may not understand it. You may not get why you're crying and weepy or whatever, but if you get these feelings out, if you express them and write them on paper, if you put them to a melody, then somebody else may be able to learn from your experience or your observation of someone else's experience.
Indeed. What are a few of your strategies that you practice to keep your voice strong and healthy?
Practice. I'm always singing all the time. I get on my friends' nerves. Like, they'll say a phrase and just something that's just random. I mean, I'm always singing, and I try to take at least 30 minutes to an hour every day to just kind of do my vocal warm-ups or whatever. I'm trying to learn the piano. That's a thing. And just being true to myself, knowing what my limitations are and seeing if I can push past that every day.
Fabulous. Please share a few lessons of professionalism that you've learned from your global travels.
There is something to be said about being on time. Matter of fact, not being on time, being before time. Because if you're late, you're going to miss out on the boat. You're going to miss out on what's happening. You're not going to know what's going on. And I'm going to tell you a story. I've only been late to a lobby call once in my life, and that's like the first 3 weeks we were in Canada for a Josh show, and we had to get up because we were going to England for the first time. And at the time, we were sharing rooms, and my roommate, I had called for a wake-up call, and she answered the phone and just hung it up. Right. So now we're late. Yeah, the tour manager's calling, hey, where are you guys? And I'm like, never again. So I make sure that I'm on time for things, being professional, make sure that you know the material before you get to a rehearsal, before you get to an audition or something. It's important. And how you carry yourself, because you don't know who's watching you. It's funny, in 2007, after James Brown passed, excuse me, two of his horn players came to play with Joss's band. And they used to tell us stories all the time, how he would make them dress up, even on their days off. And if they weren't dressed up and he saw them, they would get fined. Because you don't know who is watching you. There's always somebody watching you and watching how you react to things and those kind of things. That's why it's very important on your social media, what you say. If you're going to have it private, make it a private message if it's something that's controversial or whatever. But you never know who's watching you. So always be on your P's and Q's.
Love it. Antonia, I'm aware that you're also a phenomenal lifestyle photographer. What sparked you to try something new?
Initially, I just bought a camera because we were going to be traveling all these places, and I didn't know when I was going to be coming back there. And I've always, I guess, in the back of my mind, had a passion for photography, but not, just watching other people's pictures or whatever. But when I got into it, I realized I had an eye for it, and it was just something I liked to do. And then other people saw that I had an eye for it, and then Joss asked me to do my very first professional job as a photographer was Joss's 2007 Introducing Joss Stone album. I did the back cover, all the images on the back, because she asked me to come and do that because she saw me all the time, always had a camera. I'm always in her face. I would always have my camera on me. And that's how I got all these great shots. So that's when I decided to pick up a camera. But when I decided to become a professional about it was when I recognized that the scene was changing. There's a book called Who Moved My Cheese? I don't know who the author is, but excellent book. It teaches you to pay attention when things are changing, and you need to make sure that you're ready for when it happens. And a lot of people weren't. When I noticed that Joss was, changing out different band members, and we're not touring as much, or she'll use a different person here or there, I was like, something's going on, and I need to have something else. So I went back to school. I got my associates in science and photography from Art Institute, and I decided this is going to be my thing, my little side thing, and now it's become kind of like my main thing on the other side of. I have two main things: my music and my photography. So that's pretty much when.
That's awesome. Staying in tune to your environment. So you were able to remain connected to the industry, but also didn't affect you financially.
Right.
Love it. Love it. Your music is soulful and magnetic. What are your plans to expand your musical footprint beyond your singing?
I would love to write for other people. Sometimes people get pigeonholed. Oh, you can only write this kind of, or you can only sing this kind of music. But I write everything. I write country songs. I've written rock songs. I love rock and roll. But because I don't have the certain look for it, people are not accepting of it. That's fine with me. I can write the song and let somebody else give it to Pink or give it to someone, whoever wants to tell this story, because there's so many stories to be told. I've lived a very full life, and I have friends who live full lives, and I pull off that. So, being able to write for other people, being able to produce for other people, and just seeing where my photography takes me.
So tell me, who comes to mind when you think of people that you want to sing with, and also people that you want to photograph?
Okay, sing with people like Lenny Kravitz. I love him. I love his tenacity. I love the way that he writes, and his swagger is crazy. Also, Pink. I think I mentioned her a little while ago. It's something about the way that she emotes on a song. I don't know. It's very guttural. It's very in your face, and it's very real. So I like artists like that. As far as photograph, I like to photograph people who don't know I'm watching them. And the reason I say that is because when you ask people to pose, you get a whole different aspect of their persona. But when people don't know that the camera is on them and they're just being themselves, I'm able to show that. Show the essence of who they are, without them being self-conscious that there's a camera in my face. So anyone, actually. So I like all people, old people. I like their face. I like the wrinkles. Those lines tell stories. Children, because of their innocence and they're just willing to do whatever and just play and whatever. Anyone. I just like to photograph people.
Love it. Where would your dream concert be?
Brazil.
Ooh, why Brazil?
Brazil, they have the best fans. They are very passionate people. And they love music. I don't know the culture of them, or I don't know what it is. They're the carnival or whatever, but they are very passionate people. They love you. I remember going to Brazil the first time. I was pregnant, and nobody really knew. I don't know how they knew, but they knew. The Brazilian, they knew. They had gifts for me. They knew my name. They knew everybody in the band's name. They took the time to read the credits of who was in the band, and they all gave us the same amount of love that they gave the star, the Jawstone. So it was just like, they're kind of like family. And it's a lot of African culture over there, so I think I can relate to them. And I'm just so passionate, man. They know the music.
Very cool. I know that you mentioned Zig Ziglar earlier. What are a few books? I just want to touch upon a few books that has impacted you, because you're very cultured, so I'm sure you're an avid reader. Yes.
My parents were very strict about that. On Christmas, everyone in the family got a book. Like, you go read. So I think Zig Ziglar, some of the authors that I read, the books, the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. If you've not read this book, read the book. It teaches you about synchronicity. And what that is that everyone has a message for everyone else. When you are on the train or you're on a bus or something and you lock eyes with a person, you have a message for them or they have a message for you. If you keep running into somebody, like you thought about somebody and they end up calling you, that kind of thing. Everybody's had that. That's the synchronicity. We're all, like I said, we're all connected. And that book changed my life. I'm going to tell you a quick story about that. I kept seeing Andre Harrell. You know who Andre Harrell is? Okay.
Yes, but share with my listeners who Andre Harrell is.
Andre Harrell was the one who got Puffy started. I can't remember the name of his record. He was a record producer and record label owner, and he was in Crush Groove. And that's the first time I saw him was in there. And then he was the one who found Robin Thicke. So then he was in that video when the Sprite commercial, and Robin was riding around on the bicycle in the Sprite commercial. I just kept seeing him. I've seen him Crush Groove movie, all within like the same week. My dad took me to the Congressional Black Caucus in D.C., and I asked him if I could give him my demo, and he was like, "No, I can't take it because I'll lose it. I'm here, whatever." He brushed me off. Maybe about 3 months later or so, or a month, I'm not sure, a friend of mine called and said that let's go down to Nikki Beach. Puffy's having a birthday party. I'm like, sure, fine, whatever. We get there, and who's there? Russell Simmons is there, Puffy, and I look up, there's Andre Harrell. Now, again, I keep seeing him everywhere. So I'm like, my boyfriend at the time, I'm like, listen, he's right there. And then he looked at me, and he started walking toward me, and I'm like, oh my God, he's coming over here. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm freaking out. And he comes like right in front of me. I said, excuse me, Mr. Harrell. Like, I have no fear in talking to people at all. Mr. Harrell, how are you? My name is, and I'm talking a mile a minute. My name is Antonia Jenae. I met you in D.C. at the Congressional Black Caucus. I was wondering, I tried to give you my CD today. Is it okay if I give you my CD now? And he's like, sure, I'm selling to Delano. Just drop it by the thing. I had no CDs. I had to drive all the way. I'm down on South Beach. I had to drive all the way to Fort Lauderdale, back down to the beach to drop off my CD. And I said that to say this. You never know who you're going to run into. You need to pay attention to signs. Like there's a movie, the signs are everywhere. There are signs everywhere. We all have a message for each other. And if we tap into that synchronicity, we'll be able to move forward. And you'll be, because that person will have a message for you. And you'll be able to move forward. So that's one book called The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. I think I mentioned The Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkinson.
Yes.
Great book. It's only like 96 pages, so it's a really quick read. But it teaches you to ask God for what you want and be confident in that and be respectful and be grateful for the things that you have. I stay aware of the synchronicity. And again, like even with me praying about, I'm going to work with Betty Wright. And then 3 months I get a call and I'm working with Betty Wright. And then I had written in my journal years ago, when I started this business, I want to start as a background singer. And I still have that journal now. And that's exactly how my life went. I want to get married. I'm going to have kids at 30. I want to have all these things happen in that way. So.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Antonia, what makes you confident in your ability and business savvy as a professional singer?
A lot of prayer. A lot of prayer. Because, again, sometimes I get doubtful of myself. But I have to shake that off and keep going. I have to try and just do it. There was a time when I didn't write music. I just did poetry. And I would try and do other people's cover songs, but I would forget them because it didn't mean that much to me. It wasn't a part of my soul, you know. And they would get up and say, "Oh, Anime, you forgot the words, Anime." You know, they would make fun of me. But once I took that step to tap into who I was and understand the power of my words and the power of my story and what I've been through, I was able to emote that in song. Because there are always going to be naysayers. People are going to say, you can't do this, you can't do that. But just do it and see. If you fail, so what? Try again. Try again. Walt Disney failed I don't know how many times. Everybody fails. It happens. But it teaches you what not to do. Don't do that anymore. Try something else.
What's on your bucket list?
I don't know. I don't think I really, because I've done so much, I guess all of it. I think now I just want to, again, have a career, publishing career with writing music for other people. Establishing myself as a writer within the industry, establishing myself as a go-to photographer. Like one of my favorite photographers, as far as music type of photography, is Annie Leibovitz. Like she's done so much in her career, from Rolling Stone to Vogue to what's the magazine she always does? I can't think of it, but yeah, she's incredible. The way that she's able to disappear, even though she has this big camera in her face, she's able to disappear in a way that makes her subject feel comfortable to allow that essence to be put into film or digital form. Yeah, that's it. I want to shoot. I know one thing is National Geographic. Although I like to shoot lifestyle photography, I want to be some type of documentary photography as well. Because those type of images, to go into different areas of the world and bring light to subjects that people may not know about because the media is not focusing on, like poverty in different countries, poverty in Brazil, poverty in Africa. Or even just the business side of Africa, because that's not what they show. They show the downtrodden. They show that they don't have any water. But they don't show that some city, there are cities, actual cities like New York, Nigeria is city. You know what I mean? Ghana has city. Mm-hmm. It's not just this backwater desert type of place. Jungle, what you think was all they show. People with flies on them. That's not who Africa is. So I just want to show the world as it is and not as it is portrayed.
Yeah, it's more than the epidemics.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's more than the epidemics. Most singers have a global side to them.
Right.
So you're in sync with that because they have that one cause that they like to bring attention to. They use their spotlight for good. So for you, it's going to be through your photography of showing a different way in the world. I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting.
Yes. And we travel all over the world and we're able to see different things. Because I know they'll say, oh, the war is not this or the war is this and it's doing this. And I'm like, well, that's not what they're showing over in Europe. In Europe, they're showing some totally different news. So it's like I get so upset sometimes with the media because I'll know things because I've seen it with my own eyes, and that's not what they're telling us. Don't believe everything you see and read, people. Try and find out for yourselves.
Knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. Knowledge is power. Does any of your performances resonate with your soul as cherished memories more than others?
Yes. Before I got on with Joss, maybe a year or so before, I was able to go to New York and do the world famous Apollo Theater. Now, if you know anything about the Apollo Theater, they have the one that's on the TV, and then they have the one that's the regular Wednesday night that they've been doing for years, the amateur night. And I was able to do that. And what's funny about it is that's when I was starting writing my own music, and I was very adamant. I'm doing my own music. and I don't like covers, and I'm not going to do it. So the lady, Mary Brown, I think her name was, she kept calling. I really think that you should do a cover. You know, people who do their original music don't really bode well on the show or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm sticking by my guns. I want to do my song. So I get up there, I do my song, and I end up going on to the next level, which was the first time in history of the Apollo that it has happened. So I'm the first person at the Apollo Amateur Night that has been moved forward into the next segment with an original song. So that's a historic thing. Yeah, it was because it was like they really did not want me to do that. They were like, you know, you're going to get booed off or whatever. Then, because I was able to do that, I was able to go do the television version. Now, what's funny about that was, again, they're still trying to get me to do a cover, and I don't want to do that. So I do my original song, and I got to, now, I'm going to be honest, there was some cheering, there was some booing. It was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, all the way till I got to my second chorus, which is almost the end of the song, and then they just end up booing me off. How they showed it and this is why the media is a funny thing, how they showed it on the TV is that I got booed off in 2 seconds. And that's not what happened. And I'm like, but still, and for me, I took that as a win in my spirit because I know what happened. I know that there were people out there that were hearing me and wanted me to continue. But for television's sake, I got booed off, that kind of thing. And that's a win for me because I know my music was good enough to stay the test of time for almost the second verse. So, that was one time that I really appreciated and understood the power of my music, the power of my voice, and the power of my words. And the power of standing and sticking to your guns. Because I could have easily been like, okay, fine, I'll do that. Do what everyone else is doing. I don't want to do that. But now I can say I'm the only person in the history of the Apollo Amateur Night that has won with an original song.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, Antonia, I appreciate you joining the Confidence Conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I want to end this episode of the Confidence Conversation with this affirmation. I am a dreamer and doer that expects success and prosperity to chase me down daily. Antonia, please share how listeners can get in touch with you.
You can reach me on Instagram, on Facebook. I think I'm also on SoundCloud. You can check out my music there and on iTunes. Everything is Antonia Jenae. All of my social media sites is my name, and I'll spell it for you. ANTONIA JENAE. So Instagram at Antonia Jenae, Facebook Antonia Jenae. If you want to check out my photography, you can go to I Can See Imagery, IKONSEEIMAGERY. That's also on Facebook. Yes, but all things lead to Antonia Jenae.
Awesome. And you can find me, Michelle Beatty, at careertipper.com and on Instagram at careertipper. Listeners, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Confidence Conversation. We are grateful for our listeners and guests. For more career confidence motivation, resources, and to share your comments and feedback about this episode and share future guest suggestions, visit careertipper.com. Until next time, be career confident.